so much, Caleris. I'm so excited, ladies and gentlemen, as we get into our next match. Roddy, I know you're loving this. We were talking about it, looking forward to some shenanigans coming out of our Protoss player. And I, honestly, what you told me might happen, that's all I'm dreaming about right now as we get into it. In the top left, we have the blue Protoss player. He is ShaDoWn.
And if you guys wonder what I've been teasing Nate with, that's cannons, that's batteries, that's war prisms and immortals, because he loves it, okay? I don't know if he's going to do it in the first game, but I do really expect it this series. In the right bottom side, we're taking a look at the main base of the man who's playing very good so far in this tournament. It is Silky. And a big 2-0 victory already.
Yeah, Silky has been one of those players we get to have some fun conversations about and throughout the Challenger series in the last year or so. It did very well with his TESPA Collegiate Series team. They won over at the ESPN Collegiate Esports Championships earlier this year. Also, one of his big claims to fame from last year's Challenger was that he was able to take a series off of Neeb and actually eliminated him from one of our Challenger competitions that we had. So he's shown these flares. He's shown the potential to take the big W's, to be able to get these upsets. But this is where it's going to count the most, Roddy. And as you're putting it, we've got an opponent that's going to be bringing out some crazy stuff. But does being from NA give Silky an advantage against the crazy stuff is my question.
He has definitely played against it a couple of times, I can assume, with guys like Printf and Turkey Dano on that North American ladder. They have pretty much put off every single potential cannon rush out there over the years, so I'm sure it wouldn't be the first time that he has seen it. But ShaDoWn is really good with it. He doesn't do it here, but I think he actually did it against Scarlet on this very stage exactly a year ago. I remember in the first game he tried to play like some macro Colossus build and Scarlet just absolutely dumpstered him. And then the second game he went into the Immortals and the shield batteries and the cannons, and he actually got a victory over Scarlet as well. Even though Scarlet knew there was a very good chance that he was going to do it, ShaDoWn is just that damn good with it. But we'll see. So far, game one is going to be standard. It's going to be macro oriented. And I wonder if ShaDoWn has grown enough where he can right now maybe play a better, more solid, more steady macro game than he did a year ago.
Yeah, he's going to be going for something not quite so crazy. Of course, as we were talking about it, he's taking an expansion. He's getting a Twilight Council tucked into the back of the main base now, so could follow that up with something. We might see, there's quite a few different ways that you can take it, right? Like, we don't see as much of the Blink openings, though, do we?
Nah, Blink is a pretty bizarre one. I mean, I'd love to see it once, don't get me wrong. But once in a while, you see a Resonating Glaive opening. I still like to do it, but I'm a grumpy old man, so I kind of like stick to the things that I know. Yeah. Most of these nerds, they just love the Archon drop, Nate. They love showing up with DTs. There are a couple variations of it, right? There is the 3-gate one, there is the 4-gate one. The 3-gate one hits a little bit faster, but the bad thing is you can't warp in like the double Archon, right? But you can maybe do slightly more with your Dark Templars. Majority of the time when you see Twilight and Robo, it's pretty much always a Dark Templar drop, and it's a good opening, right? You're gonna force out some units, you have a little bit of map presence, and obviously you're very good defensively because A, you have a Prism, B, you're gonna have DTs, and it's very unlikely that Overseers show up 4 minutes into the game.
All right, so there's going to be some opportunity for him to get damage done, of course, if you are a volatile player like that. Going for the DT variation of that Archon drop gives you a little bit more of that flexibility, right? You can do basically like a gut check. If they don't have the spores up, if they don't have, I mean, you know, Overseers are obviously a little bit early, but if they have nothing, of course, then you're going to be able to just grab a quick win. And sometimes we do see players try to YOLO into a third or a main, try to take out the spore if they can early on and force that damage in. The Roachborn has only just now started for Silky, so he's going to be playing a little bit more just that normal defensive game. Zergling spots the Prism. This is really nice, but he's not 100% aware of what version it is going to be, right?
Yeah, I don't think he knows exactly, but he does see the timing, and I think he kind of knows, like, if it hits very early, like 425-ish, 420, even if you do everything perfectly as a Protoss, it's most likely just DTs. He's actually going to split them up, but there are Spore Crawlers already. I mean, there is no way the DT is going to do anything there. The other one, I have a hard time believing. He's going to send one into the main base as well. I would just probably fire down drones. I think if you just go for drones, you get some more success, but so far, this is really good defense by Silky, and this did not work out at all by ShaDoWn. I must say, I almost feel this is a little bit cocky play by ShaDoWn. It's like, you know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to send 3 Dark Templars to 3 different bases because I'm really good and I'm going to kill all your drones. And Silky's like, actually, no, I'm pretty good at this game too. I'm going to defend this pretty convincingly.
He only lost one of them so far, right? So I think that's... I mean, with how risky of a play this is to just send all 3 straight into the mineral lines, there's a very realistic possibility that you do lose all of them. So the control that he's exhibited has been pretty reasonable, to say the least. He takes the 3rd base. He warped the extra 2 DTs in the back there. They did lose one of the other ones across the map, excuse me. So 2 DTs lost is less than ideal.
He's
Good
up
defense on the
12
third,
workers, though. I'm actually kind of shocked by the amount of workers that he's up. Silky produced quite a few links. The links, unfortunately, were not really able to deny that Nexus, and I think that's very big. Like, if you make that amount of links, but then you also have roaches as a follow-up, the roaches are supposed to make sure you take 0 damage at home. The links, just grab that probe one time, you know, delay that Nexus for 30, 40 seconds. Has a massive impact on this game. Now, we do have a Spire, and that's something that could have a massive impact on this game as well. If ShaDoWn doesn't scout it, and Silky gets like 10 plus mutas out, I actually believe that he can do very, very well in this game. If ShaDoWn does scout it immediately, there's a good chance he runs to the other side of the map, and then he's going to force out so many roaches, and then it's going to be very awkward for Silky. So it's all about the scout right now, Nate 3. Now, can he see that Spire or not?
He's getting the Archon up front. Has the Immortals coming out, charge, +1. These are all the normal things that you expect to see. But that timing is going to be really awkward. I mean, the position that you would take this Prism to, Kev, you wouldn't go straight into the natural here, would you?
No.
Is there really a world where you get vision on that Spire?
Not with this drop, I think. Like with a hallucinated Phoenix, yes, but I don't think with this drop. I do think, by the way, it's important to mention that this is a decider match, by the way, guys, of group stage 2. I know that Prism takes a lot of damage. I know there's a lot of StarCraft happening, and it's complicated for you guys at home to follow everything, but Clem won this group in the way we expected Clem to win it, because Clem is a beast, 7,000 MMR in Europe. Unfortunately, Robbie Plata, also known as Tesla or just Rob, he finished last in this group, but he did take a map of ShaDoWn. But Silky won the opening match between these two. So this is the rematch. Silky won 2-0 earlier. That was a surprise to me. Let's see if he can do it again.
All right, well, we talked about it. The Spire's done. Mutalisks are coming out. We'll see how many he makes. I mean, he's adding some more roaches, adding more Ravagers. Doesn't want to die to just a straight-up ground attack. And powerful ground attack it's going to be, but those biles come down. He gets the Prism.
That's
Archon's left on the north side of the map. He's not going to go after them. He wants to protect the 4th base.
Do you commit now if you're ShaDoWn, Nate? I'm not sure, man. These Archons are actually quite far away from the rest of the army. The Muta's going to be an awkward spot. I'd like to see the Mutas go for the sentries there. That would have been sick, but I guess he just didn't really have the right Muta count. I don't know if you can really be here without a Prism, man. You really, really want to have a Prism with this attack.
This is super dangerous, too, because that Prism, the new one, is about to finish, but the Mutas are kind of sharking around.
That would be sick if he snipes it.
Yeah, being able to catch that would be huge, and this Zergling should be able, okay, well, he starts the Nexus, so that's actually a little bit fortunate.
Prism, yeah, he fights it.
Oh, no.
No shield battery. Oh, he should have gone for it, I think, but actually getting some probe damage is good as well. Silky is buying time. He doesn't have the worker advantage I think you normally want to have if you're playing Midas, though, but he's squeezing out 10 more drones. You gotta be careful there. Some good moves there by Silky, man. Sniping that Prism on the right top side. So big.
That was huge. That was an absolutely massive pick-off. And since the Mutalisks are still alive, it's going to be very hard for ShaDoWn to move out on the map. He doesn't have that blink that we were talking about, so the mobility, you're quite limited in terms of ways that you can deal with. And throws a DT away. That's a way to give the Zerg a hand.
I must say, I really love that he had 2 random roaches there. That's not something you normally see, but if it's just a queen, like a queen can take care of a DT, but it takes like...
It takes a little time.
Yeah, and then you lose 6, 7 drones. It becomes actually quite painful. Storm is on the way now as well. Silky's adding in a few more mutas. ShaDoWn is going to try his luck one more time. Where is that Prism? Can he... I feel like this is a weird moment to fight, though. Like, Storm halfway done, +2 halfway done, 4th Nexus almost done.
Forces a recall, too. Great job with those roaches. Doesn't really run them all away, though. Got to be careful. I'm not sure that he wants to lose all of these right here.
Can he snipe the High Templars, Nate? Can he snipe the High Templars?
This would be massive. Storm not done yet. Forces them to turn into Archons, but hey, you're getting rid of those Psy Storms that the Zerg player is going to be primarily worried about and warping in more and more Stalkers inside of the main to deal with those Mutalisks. This is just one of those games where sometimes you talk about how you deal with the mutas, and sometimes it comes down to being that Stargate tech. And when you don't go for it, and the Zerg realizes that, and they continue to just pummel away at you with these mutas, it's so hard.
ShaDoWn's army is powerful, though, right? Like, I do kind of like a lot of the moves that Silky is pulling, but I do feel like you have to keep ShaDoWn where he is at right now. Like that 160-ish supply, as not a big warping of Stalker comes along. Because if ShaDoWn maxes out, his army is going to be way more powerful than the army of of Silky. So Silky needs to kind of just keep jabbing here, right? Just give a couple punches here and there, take off a couple probes, and just try to keep on touching and hurting ShaDoWn. Because if he just sits back, ShaDoWn's army is just going to be way too strong. So he's roaming and he's looking for little openings. But I'm still a little bit worried. He does start a hive now, but that's going to take a long time.
Yeah, I mean, with Baneling speed coming in, if he had creep spread, I'd really like it. You can also go for that strategy where you're trying to get the big surround. Blink finally starts, by the way, as he's realizing that the mutas are not going to stop attacking and harassing. But for all the losses that he's accrued, still at 64 probes, ShaDoWn has an economy. Being able to get that fourth Nexus started was really big for him earlier. We got some Banelings, slow Banelings, gonna waddle into that third base mineral line, and the probes getting blown up. 10 workers picked off there. So Silky is keeping up that pressure, and he has forced an absurd number of Stalkers out of ShaDoWn now.
22 Stalkers, that's not something you see super often anymore. Stalkers are a unit that can still be useful when Broodlords are out. I actually saw a couple of crazy games already today. That's a lot of Banelings, and +2 is actually morphing as well, and Baneling speed, so it's a little bit of everything, Nady.
Oh, one stray mutant dies to the rally. But, man, the pressure that you can put on just being able to keep these guys locked in here is huge. While he tries to tech up, and I assume, as you were suggesting, Kevin, the Broodlords, which now with the Greater Spire and Adrenal Glands on the way, Silky's, he's been getting there in terms of buying himself time.
Yeah, I actually did not expect him to be able to get Broodlords out without a big fight, but we're still not there yet, right? That Greater Spire takes a little while. He's going to try to buy time one more time, but ShaDoWn's got a hell of a powerful army right now. I'm not sure where that Prism is. A couple of Banelings. They don't have +2 yet, by the way, but they'll still get a couple of probes. It's good stuff, but I do feel that ShaDoWn is like, all right, mate, we have danced long enough. You know, this was fun in games and all, but let's see how well you do against my army right now with 4 Immortals, 5 Archons, and a lot of Storm available, Nate.
8 High Templar, most of them with enough energy to cast 2 Storms, getting a DT into that third base to preempt the fight. And he has good vision with those changelings, trying to spread himself out now, trying to get the Banelings on top of the meaty core of the army, but the Storms are going to hit almost all of the Roaches. The Bile's landing in the center. The 3 of the Immortals still alive as the Stalkers press forward. But as the Zealots go down, the Lings flooding out behind this are going to be able to get some work done too. Those Spine Crawlers being extremely useful here on top of everything.
I actually feel Silky's doing so much better than I thought he was going to do here. Those Immortals, they don't have barriers anymore. The Storms are big though. 1 Immortal goes down. War Prism shows up, and that's very big. That finally gives him a little bit of micro potential with an Immortal. More Stalkers being warped in. Is there still a Spore here for that DT? I mean, the Greater Spire is done, but this is not the moment where you really try to get Broodlords out. Only 48 drones though for Silky. Like, I felt like he did well there, but I just don't think it was enough.
Yeah, he needs to overwhelmingly win this fight to be able to push back across the map and compensate for that worker difference that you're talking about, Kev. Roach, it's kind of funny, Roach Ravager, but with this many Stalkers in a low eco situation, as the armies start to dwindle a little bit for both sides, suddenly all those Blink Stalkers become useful again.
Yeah.
Being able to do that micro and get the extra cost effectiveness out of them helps a lot.
It's a very scrappy game, so normally we don't focus on upgrades that much right now, but just think of the idea of +3 Blink Stalkers against 0-1 Roaches. Yeah, that's not a fight Roaches want to take, right? The only thing you can really hope for is like Lynx to trap a couple Stalkers, but they've got Blink, they've got a War Prism. This is technically a very, very good fight for ShaDoWn. He's got all the micro potential in the world, and Silky can only hope for poor control on the side of ShaDoWn, but ShaDoWn is not giving that so far.
He's trying to do so many different things right now, too. Adding some more Banelings, going into Infestors, getting Hydralisk Den, but he doesn't really have the money to do any of those things. He's going to start 3 Corruptors. I do believe he has the Greater Spire, but are 3 Broodlords, 3 or 4 Broodlords, even if you could afford to turn them into Broodlords, are that going to work against this many Stalkers when they're already out on the field?
Normally I would say no, but if we get a couple of Infestors out, right? Imagine like a Fungo across a Power Broodling, like, yeah, you know, it's something. I mean, it's a Hail Mary play, but he kind of needs to do that because he can't really continue making Roaches with 0-1 upgrades against +3 Blink Stalkers. Now we even get a Lurker then. So Silky, even though he feels broke as a joke, he's like, no, I am going to get Lurkers out. I am going to get Broodlords out. I don't know where he's going to get the money from, Nate, but I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, I mean, he's living paycheck to paycheck at the moment, and he's making some big purchases, all right? He's going for the AirPod strategy here, Kevin. I'm not sure how well it's going to work out if ShaDoWn sniffs this out. His economy is still feeling really good. That top base there was a Zergling there, but it didn't actually block it from getting placed. And even those few precious seconds are so valuable in these situations. He's going to spot this topside base. And, you know, Silky actually got his own worker count up. Great pick off there on some probes.
Yeah,
so
+2 is done for the melee unit. So that's something that Silky can keep on doing, especially because ShaDoWn really doesn't have any vision of that like left side of the map, right? Like 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. There's nothing here. So a couple of Banelings +2 over and over again, that can really start to hurt ShaDoWn's economy as well, because he's only at 59 probes. Yeah. He's also not that rich.
Yeah, no, I mean, Silky did a great job. Recovering, gets a fungal on the Stalkers if he could get another one using the recall. So,
but that's -5 Stalkers, I think it was. Yeah. 4 or 5 when done. That's painful, man.
Yeah, and that recall now on cooldown for a long time. It was one of the recent changes. So trying to come back up to defend this base is going to be tricky as well. Roaches are able to, I don't know if they're going to be able to kill it, but at least pushing back some of the probes. DTs are a phenomenal way to deal with these types of attacks. And wow, yeah, he's going to clean this up.
Man, they're so powerful. They do so much damage.
He saves this. Yeah. +3 DTs, baby.
Yeah,
Ay.
That is actually insane that he saved that. That it really felt that Nexus was almost always going to go down, but well done. Some defensive DTs, no overseer there.
He's getting lurkers now. He's moving into Broodlords. So, I mean, if he can get lurkers underneath the Broodlords, those Stalkers are not going to be able to yeet onto him.
I think ShaDoWn was incredibly surprised that a fungal connected with all the Stalkers and Broodlords showed up. He's like, I really thought I did a good job in like keeping you poor. And once again, ShaDoWn is applying a lot of pressure. He's getting a lot of drones immediately. But there are brutes. There are actually quite a few brutes. 3 more on the way as well. It's very important Silky doesn't lose that base on the right top side, and he lost drones, but he didn't lose the base.
Yeah, dangerous situation to be put in. Those DTs really did a lot of work for ShaDoWn in this game, and I really feel like saving that top base was so nice. These Ravagers get caught, and suddenly what was looking like it could be getting into a manageable position for Silky, ShaDoWn just started picking him apart, defended the harass so well, and Silky having a difficult time getting over 160 supply against what's soon to be a maxed out Protoss force. He's even getting the Stargate +1 air weapons. So he's thinking about the end game tech.
I can't believe that Silky just lost 34 drones and he still has 60, which is 8 more than ShaDoWn has. How's that possible?
Zerg, man. them bugs, they spread.
Well, a queen with a lot of energy goes down. It doesn't really seem like there's a lot of anti-air here. And this is a main base that's very exposed, but it's also a main base that Silky really cannot afford to lose. He can't afford to lose the Hive. He doesn't want to lose the Greatest Spire or the Infestation Pit. It almost feels like he doesn't have a choice because he's like, I really want to save my main, but I also really have to keep my fort base alive on the right top side.
So Broodlords are nice to have, but when you're not rich and you don't have a big field of spines or some giant Ling force to throw around, you just keep bouncing between the bases. He's like, okay, as soon as I drag the Broodlords down to the bottom, he's got an army ready and waiting to hit the topside base. I mean, ShaDoWn just playing this perfectly now.
Yeah, okay, there is a lurker there, but the Stalkers blink forward, and this hatchery is going to go down. Upgrades are winning this game for ShaDoWn, man. Those Zealots are just ripping through Ravages and Roaches like it's absolutely nothing. They're pushing Roaches into a corner. That's really not supposed to happen. But these Zealots are feisty, and they're literally winning the game for ShaDoWn.
These bad boys are Super Saiyan right now, Roddy. DT's getting added into the main base to help rip all of this to pieces. Fleet Bacon is coming in, so even if he were to somehow survive all of this, by the time he could get across the map, a huge army is already going to be prepped and ready as ShaDoWn. He's got the Golden Armada on speed dial right now, and if this game doesn't end soon, it's going to end with just the most sad engagement of like Tempest or Void Rage or something just killing Broodlords.
Man, these Zealots and DTs have been so freaking strong. Finally, a Broodlord shows up. Everything in the main base is gone besides an Extractor that's mined out anyway. So you can safely say that that main base no longer exists. First Tempest is on the way.
So, dude.
You're a little late to the party, Broodlord. Like, there were a couple Zealots before that were destroying our town.
Why was I not evolved to attack air units?
I mean, I guess he does have a Spire still in the natural, but it just feels that at this point, I really don't know. Like, Silky still has a strong defensive army, but how is he ever going to be able to attack with his army?
You don't, right? I mean, you have to... At this point, the problem is you're trying to hope that the Protoss, like, engages into you for no reason. Like, they think they can win no matter what, and that's how you maybe get the dream engagement. But he's still transitioning into upgraded carriers, and that's a pretty good fungal.
That is a very good fungal,
getting the follow-up kills on this is still tricky, as this is also opening up supply. Like, what's the answer going to be to the carriers? The changes to the Infested Terran, I think, have had a huge impact. We've seen a lot of Protoss players using carriers already again in this WCS fall.
Do we have Neural Parasite, Mr. Mapu? We do not have neuroparasites, so yes, that is a very big problem, Nate. The infested Terrans, they can still be all right, don't get me wrong. They can still gun down the interceptors and stuff, but it really helps Protoss that you can rebuild those interceptors a little bit quicker now, a couple of seconds. It does really make a big difference. I've played quite a few late games myself already, and I noticed it. Like on day one, everyone was like, do you think carriers are viable again? I was like, guys, I don't know, okay, give me 100 games. But there are definitely scenarios where I'm like, okay, before, I really feel like I wouldn't have enough interceptors anymore, and you do notice it as a Protoss. And I've seen like a couple of Protoss players, like guys like Gerald, you know, he always loved the carriers. They're loving it, man. They really feel the difference, and they can see it.
There's been some pretty sweet fights, so you cannot rely on just the mass-infested Terran to deal with the air units anymore, which means in a low-eco situation, just having infestors is really not going to be enough once that carrier count gets up there. Just not enough anymore. You need to be able to, you know, get those really good neural parasites or have some other supporting units. So I feel like we've just got a timer on this game. It's like Silky's going to squeeze out more infestors, but he doesn't even have those upgrades that we were mentioning.
Do you think that he doesn't know he has neural?
I mean, he tried to get pathogen glands, and maybe he had neural queued up, but that was the infestation pit that got killed earlier in the main base.
This is really bad, though. Like, it's very important for Silky to at least get pathogen, but I really feel like you want to get neural, man. Because if you think, like, the power of neural is not just that you can take over units. Obviously, that's the main purpose of it, but it's that if you win a fight, you can really win it with neural, right? Because suddenly you can take control of units that are trying to run away, and then suddenly you can pick off all of those units one by one. Yep. And if you don't have that, like, yeah, Fungo is nice and all, but it doesn't really get the job done forever. Okay, there you go. He fires up neural.
The other interesting thing I learned about neural parasite is that it is actually, so you know when you mind control a unit, when your unit gets mind controlled, your own units won't kill that unit, right? You have to, you'd have to tell it to do that. Mm-hmm. But with the carrier, I noticed that the interceptors of a neural parasitic carrier, your units will attack those. Yeah, it actually bugs out the AI of units as well. Neural parasite is double good against carriers for that. I couldn't believe it. It was some detective on Reddit posted about it.
I think the most important thing when I have carriers is just make sure they don't get neural in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, if all your carriers are getting neural regardless of what, you know, what's happening, it's bad. It's always bad news.
Yep. It's kind of like, I mean, I cannot believe it, but Silky has managed to hang on there long enough to actually max out again. He has lost his main. It really felt he was down and out. He felt broke. He lost so many drones. He's got an army. Okay, does he have an answer against 7 carriers right now? Well, with 17 infestors and a couple spore crawlers, slowly but steady, I'm starting to feel that maybe Silky can do this. Like, it really shouldn't have been possible. It felt that he was down and out. It really felt that ShaDoWn did everything he had to do, but not getting that fort base with the Stalkers and slowly but steadily letting Silky max out. I mean, this is pretty crazy, Nate. I
mean, still don't want to sugarcoat it too much. ShaDoWn has taken all the bases on his side of the map. Yeah. He's got a ton of economy behind this, and he can replace units if he loses them, but maybe not if he loses everything at once. That's probably the only thing you want to be careful about at this point. Just keep getting the upgrades. I think he's got +3. Yeah, he's got +3 coming in for the attack on the air, which is going to be really helpful as well.
I see a second Robo and a Robo Bay, which tells me that we are most likely going to see a couple of Disruptors. I am a very big fan of the Disruptor carrier combination. Certain European top Protosses make fun of me. They're like, oh, Roddy and his Disruptor carrier meme doesn't work, okay? I was like, it does work. And then I played against really good Zergs. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting wrecked over here. So maybe they were onto something, but then
you see Showtime in what Challenger when he was, or was it Aces when he threw those insane Disruptor shots into the infestors.
Yep, I mean, obviously you need a little bit of luck there, right? But it's a combination that just works out very, very well. It's a hard thing to evolve, or to avoid rather, as a Zerg. Like, you cannot always dodge all of those Purification Novas.
Do you think that's a misclick? He's getting Resonating Glaives 25 minutes.
I have no idea, but I think it's just like, maybe he's trying to...
I'm just confused.
It's pretty cheap. I have no idea why he's getting it, but whatever.
So the shield upgrades are coming in. I mean, really, just the more carriers, the merrier, honestly.
I mean, I guess, like, Resonating Glaives of Depths are going to be very good against, like, Rootlings and stuff.
They kill infested Terrans.
Yeah. We'll see. A couple of Immortals are going to get sacrificed. Whoa.
He's going to try and force. Is it? Okay. That's a good amount of infested Terrans. If those were the old ones, they would have killed one of them easily.
We've killed both and the mothership.
Tell me how you really feel.
Well, that's actually how I really feel about it. We get War Prism Speed is finishing up as well. I'm really excited to see how this plays out, because I feel like in the old days we're like, oh, goose.
In the old days, you just drop infested Terrans and this whole army
We're
dies.
like, here we go again. You know, it's not going to go well for the Protoss. Now, I do really feel that ShaDoWn should still win this game. I am generally very impressed by Silky to even drag this game out for as long as he did. And there is hope. I don't think he's winning, but he does have Broodlord Infestor. And it was very, very powerful. I think it's still powerful, but I absolutely do believe that the Protoss army is good enough to defeat this army of the Zerg.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been able to craft the army that he's wanted this whole time. And I feel like, you know, Silky has finally kind of got the money thing going for himself. But that would be awkward if you just lost 2 disruptors like that for nothing. But ShaDoWn has been able to build the exact army that he wants. He's even taking that base in the bottom outside the old main of Silky. So he's going to have all the money he could possibly want. At what point do you just bring a probe forward and just try to put like a cannon array or something up front with this?
Oh, I actually think it's very good to have shield batteries and cannons in the middle of the map. There goes a Neural, the first one that is. Infestor goes down. I mean, that's why I like Disruptors, right? Like, even if a unit does get stolen, you can really pick up that Infestor very quickly with just the Purification Nova of your Disruptor.
Need to be very cautious. Here he goes. He's going to try and force the fight. Throws a fungal onto the army. Everything is starting to collapse. There's a time warp up front. Really like that on top of where the infested Terrans are going to pop. That does slow down how fast they're going to be able to try and fight against this.
This feels like a very bad fight for ShaDoWn. Maybe that disrupted. I think that was a very good hit finally. But before that, I really didn't like this shot that much. But Silky actually lost a lot of supply. And ShaDoWn didn't really lose that much. He still has 12 carriers.
Save the mama. Get her out. Nope. Okay, well.
I think 1 or 2 of those final shots actually connected with so many infestors. Because before that, I'm like, okay, I really don't think this is the fight that you're looking for. But a lot of infestors did go down in the end. And he was able to save the majority of his carriers, so...
I almost... okay. I like saying crazy stuff. I was going to say, I almost feel like he could have tried to push something there. I mean, trying to get into the next fight faster, I feel like should be better. Just keeping the infestors from banking up all that energy again.
Yeah, no, I absolutely wouldn't mind it. But I think he's just trying to make sure he's maxed out again before he takes some crazy fight. Yeah. Well, this base that you just pointed out at 6 o'clock is most likely not going to live for a very long time. The Broodlords will take care of it.
You should be able to kill the north side now, though, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if the entire army is out of position, why not, right? This is what this army is good for. I guess Silky also knows it, so he's going to evacuate that base. I don't know, man. I felt that was a really good fight for Silky, but in the end, it wasn't really the victory I think that he was looking for, because he actually dropped in supplies so quickly. I just think 1 or 2 of those final disruptive shots really hurt him. I think it's very important as a Zerg that you focus fire right with your Broodlords. And I know that sounds weird because you mostly focus on your infestor control, but I think it's really important that if your Broodlords are in range of killing a disruptor, that they do actually kill the disruptor before it blows up your infestors.
Yeah, the power of those is just so huge. Or if you're in range to somehow try and right-click on the High Templar. Really, the AoE has just been, it's such a hard thing to deal with. And I can kind of get like the focus on the mothership because it naturally is difficult to kill the units that are invisible if you don't have like a good core of overseers. And Silky is still not rich. That's kind of been the whole story of this. Yeah. It's been a slow climb, a very slow climb. And ShaDoWn is like, you know, I do not want to have any chance of losing this game, which is why you want to play this so patiently, so slowly, because in 28 infestors, nerf or not, that's a lot, Kevin. That's a lot of infestors.
How do you like ShaDoWn's work account? Like, on one hand, obviously you can say like only having 56 probes right now is kind of cool because that means he's got 140 army supply, and that means that his army is a little more impressive. On the other hand, like a 3,000 mineral bank, I know that seems like, damn, ShaDoWn is rich, but if this army disappears, you can't even rebuild this army. Not to mention like the units that survive rebuilding, interceptors during all of that. Like, he's not as rich as you would expect the Protoss to be, that basically had all the map control in the world for the last 10, 15 minutes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say. Because there's still so many resources at a few of those bases as well. Yeah. Like, if it was more of a mind-out type situation, then I'm like, okay, Fist of Need, let's go. But
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I actually wouldn't mind if ShaDoWn was at 70 probes and just build up a much bigger bank and then actually sacrifice a couple of probes, because this really is a bit deceiving. It feels like ShaDoWn is very rich, but I actually don't really think he is that rich. And by the way, that random resonating glaze update is upgrade. It's actually paying dividends, man. He's just like shading through static defenses and then actually getting a lot of drone kills. I like it. It's very random, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's a cool way to do the I mean, it's cheaper than trying to throw DTs into your opponent's base all game and just hoping that they connect. The Spore Crawlers are coming forward. This is the position he wants to siege up on. Of course, if you're a Zerg, the dream is you can force the fight here. You get the Spore Crawlers, the Infested Terrans, and some Neural Parasites.
I'm actually afraid with the amount of money that ShaDoWn is spending right now on like random upgrades, and he's getting 2 more Nexines, 7 cannons. That's cool and all, but if he takes a bad fight, Nate, I don't think he can recover from it. And against this many Infestors, it's very possible a fight goes very bad. He doesn't have that many disruptors. He's got a couple of storms. I think ShaDoWn is playing a dangerous game. I do like how he's played a lot of it. Here we go. This could be it. Are we going to get an abductor too? Yes.
Yep.
Why does he parasitic bomb the carrier that he abducts?
When you're driving fast, it's hard to control, I guess.
You know what's actually very cool? Like if he would have dragged that into the middle of his army, then he could take a fight. Then Parasitic Bomb can actually kill the interceptors that are on top of his own army. That's really sick.
Ah.
I recently had a fight where I just suddenly lost 70 interceptors, and I'm like, what on earth happened? They're like, Parasitic Bomb. I'm like, I have literally never seen this, but okay. It's very good against interceptors.
Throwing out just a few Infested Terrans at a time as he rebuilds the Spore field. And it deceptively, you know, even you'd say, look at the supply, but it's 36 drones, so the army supply is still really high for Silky. And he's got enough Infestors that throwing out a few Infested Terrans like this isn't really going to hurt him too much in terms of the power of his army.
Only has 1 more Viper though, right? I would love to see like 1 or 2 more Vipers, but I know he's been very, very broke. He's just working with so little. I love the Revelation as well. Look at these Adepts. I mean, this is just really cool, even though there's no drone to kill here. I must say I did not expect these Adepts to have as much impact as they actually did. ShaDoWn seems like he's feeling confident. Viper, no! Feedback instead on the single Viper. So well done there by ShaDoWn, and maybe a little bit sloppy by Silky.
And the Infested Terrans pop out, try to blow up a few Interceptors.
You don't win that fight with those links. Okay, with the extra
And just keep throwing them at him, I guess.
Yeah. I guess the links are very feisty too. They've got +3 in Adrenal, so.
Adrenal Gland Zerglings are pretty good units. So
Infestor.
Uh-oh.
Neuro, 1.
No.
Back the other.
Pog. Okay. No, well, gets the feedbacks and turns into an Archon that will die.
I really think that if I was Silky right now, I'd be looking for a big fight. Because the longer this goes on, the worse it gets, man. Like, you're just sitting there, you're pushed into a corner. ShaDoWn's got the entire map. I really feel that it's now or never. I don't...
Well...
Really I think you got to go for it right now. If you're Silky, you got to chase a little. And chasing this army is very difficult. Like, you chase Disruptors, you never want to do that. But you kind of have no choice, Nate.
Well, I like the cheeky stasis board there, by the way. But unfortunately... the Infested Terrans are there to trigger it. If you could grab the Infestors with that, then I feel the Protoss are like, all right, let's slam the gas pedal.
This one lurker is like putting in work. I would love to see him move it a little bit and then fire in a straight line to the pylon so he can get blown. But in the end, he was not going to get that Nexus anyway. Silky, what's the plan, my friend? Infestors are good, but can you really just sit on a couple of Infestors in one base and expect to beat a Protoss that has the entire map? I think he needs to force a fight. I think he needs to trap ShaDoWn into thinking ShaDoWn is going to get a good fight. I think that's his only move, Nate. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, ShaDoWn is actually building up that bank now, despite all of that static defense that we talked about. It's just time. No, you're 100% right, Kevin. He has the vision of the army. He can see where everything is. He's going to get another Revelation tag. And 15 carriers with 120 interceptors. This is a big opportunity for him because he's also got this choke point that the Infestors are going to have a hard time getting up on if the Broodlords don't keep the Disruptors out of play.
All right, listen to me. The MVP play, all right? You make sure that you don't lose your Infestors. You abduct 1 carrier into your army. You drop Parasitic Bomb on top of it. Then you take the fight. Parasitic Bomb kills all the Interceptors, and then you jump on the army and win. 1 in 1,000, Nate.
So it's happened to you before, is what I'm going to guess. Yeah. Well, yeah. We did just talk about that. That does sound terrifying.
I don't know, man. I mean, I know Infestors are scary. Infestors are great. Infestors can always win games. But it does really feel that ShaDoWn has played this in a very beautiful way. He's going to go for the hive. Maybe this is... I mean, Silky, mate, that army is deep. This is the best it's ever going to get for you, I think. I just don't think it really gets much better than this.
That's choke.
You lose the hive. You lose the Great Aspire.
He's gonna lose all of it. He has to fight.
Yep, you got to go for it. You really got to go for it.
No, this position is just perfect, though. The Disruptors are all right there.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, go ahead. Try and get your Infestors up the ramp. Corruptors aren't going to be able to do it.
The Oracles do get caught. I mean, there's actually nothing to kill in this main base anymore. Obviously, ShaDoWn can recall. It's kind of hard to recall this entire army, though. I mean, I don't know why he's taking the high ground here. There's nothing to kill.
Okay.
Abduct.
Pulls the mothership in, tries to recall it. Not able to save it.
Now.
Well, now you can't get the rest of the army out of there either. So you have to be really careful.
Oh, these adepts are going to be really cool because obviously Silky is kind of distracted with...
I'm never going to make jokes about Resident Glaives ever
No,
again.
but
those
brutes, that's a lot of damage, man. Those brutes dissipate quickly. It's only 8 brute lords. I mean, ShaDoWn has really done it by now, right? There's no more tech. There's nothing else. He's going to run out of buildings soon as well.
This is when you get blink. You blink DTs onto the infestors.
You see how fast they were?
Go for style points.
The one brute lord harass. The adept harass. There's action all over the place, Nathaniel.
Amazing gaming here at the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. The Adepts hit that Spore Crawler, and they're going to get cleaned up by a plethora of Broodlings. And what a weird game. Silky has now been boxed into a single base. ShaDoWn, I'm not sure you're capable of losing this anymore. Big Infested Terran Ball does get thrown out. He does not want to chance it. He is still traumatized by the pre-patch Infested Terrans.
He's like 26 Infestors. No way, Jose. I gotta play this safe, man.
No, he's the dog. He's like that dog gif with like the cupcake, and he just sees visions of Infested Terrans blowing up carriers. He's like, no, I can't go back there.
It's a dark place. It's like, I've lost games. I've lost way.
I've seen things no Dalam should see.
This doesn't even feel like an advantage anymore.
All right, well, this is it. He's going to go for it. The Disruptors are going to be able to get rid of the first few neural parasiting infestors.
Okay, this is your moment. I mean, I don't think it's possible, but it's now or never. Look at the focus fire, by the way, on those infestors.
Beautiful, beautiful fire on the infestors. The Broodlords start attacking the destructible rocks. No! Turn around, hit the army. Okay, neural parasites, 1 carrier. The rest of the army is going to come up. And I do feel that he has enough to deal with this. Going to use the Disruptor to blow up some of those infested Terrans.
Only 6 Broodlords remain, by the way. Only 5 Broodlords remain.
Still 100 interceptors on the field. Plenty of firepower. GG, ShaDoWn takes game number 1.
Kudos to Silky for surviving for a very, very long time, but at one point it didn't really feel like it was going anymore or anywhere anymore, right? Like, I think the army is good. The Ultimate Zerg army is very good, but not when you're pushed into a corner and Protoss has literally the entire map.
No, I mean, that's just one of those situations where we talked about it, right? The huge advantage, the massive economic damage that was dealt, the bouncing back between the bases, tried to get to the Broodlords, and there was some really good pressure that was done with the Roach Ravager. He forced a recall one or two times. We did see, some of the detonations onto the probe line, but you brought this up a few times, Kev, as well. That +2 melee just did not kick in fast enough, and I don't know if it was that he forgot to get it or the Evolution Chamber was later and his +1 was late, but a lot of those Banelings that he threw away just didn't get as much value as they normally would in that mid-game situation either, because he was so broke and just trying to rush up to that Broodlord tech, which he didn't even really use as well, because when he got the Greater Spire, he then started going straight into like the Lurkers, and he got a few other upgrades around. Like, he's like, I'm just going to buy everything now that I have the Greater Spire. Yeah,
it did really feel like it was a little bit of everything. It felt like the Mutas never really had the impact that he hoped they would have. Obviously, sniping the War Prism ones was great and definitely got a little bit of economic damage here and there, but Mutas are very expensive. ShaDoWn made a lot of Stalkers, but those Stalkers absolutely took care of the Mutas at one point, and it was just a weird game. It was very fun for, I'd say, 20 minutes, and then at one point I'm like, are we watching the inevitable here? It's like, yeah, we kind of are, right? So it wasn't really going to go anymore or anywhere anymore, but it was fun, at least for quite some time. In the left bottom side, the man who's up 1-0, hailing from France, it is ShaDoWn.
Leading 1-0 against our red Zerg player in the Northeast, the American. He is Silky.
We have loaded into World of Sleepers tonight. How do you like this map?
Well, it makes me think of a certain Twitch mode, I guess, immediately. But this map, all jokes aside, this map's kind of fun, though. We already saw, and I thought it was kind of cool in that first series that we had today with Euthermal and Stefano. By the way, no space sharks. They're weird space, like Demogorgon, bat things. Whatever you do, don't let that land on your face, because I feel like those things are evil. But like, I like the use of the gas, the rich guys. This is like one of the only maps that we've had. I mean, the rich guys are kind of new to being brought into the 1v1 maps, but getting one that's like, yeah, this is a normal base that you can take. You can kind of strategize around it. It's a little bit exposed.
Like, I have already taken these gases more than the ones on Thunderbird. And I played 5 months more on Thunderbird.
And they gave you 2 of them on one base on Thunderbird, too.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. I was just like, yeah, that's a really cool base. And I tried to take it once when I really probably shouldn't have, but I was like, this is a slow game. And then right when I took it, I lost the game because of it. And I'm like, all right, this base is cursed. I'm never doing that again. So yeah, I'm with you. I find like the map pretty cool, but I like this map a lot more once you take care of the rocks in the middle of the map. They're kind of annoying, I feel. There's a lot of rocks. These ones are all right, but if you go up a little bit, Mapu, or down, indeed, like I hate these ones. You really have to open up these ramps, and that's when I'm starting to love the map. That's when I feel it becomes a lot more dynamic and stuff.
Yeah, because there's so much way that it kind of rotates around. We have a lot of maps in StarCraft where you kind of push through some bases towards the center position, but this map is pretty much all around the edges outside of the one geyser base. So if you're not looking for like that half base, then you're not necessarily pushing. So makes the harass really important, and we got to see a lot of that from that earlier series that we were talking about. The mineral patches between like that high ground base, it's like you could try to get that reasonably early, and if you can get rid of those mineral patches, it's nice, but it actually takes a few trips to actually get through all of them. They have 10 minerals on them, so you need 2 workers to actually get through one of them. So it's not quite like the proxy base, but if you can secure it in like an economic fashion, kind of reminds me of almost like Entombed Valley, with like how the natural and third are connected, of course. Wow. But those minerals are the difference instead of having a big thing of rocks there.
That is a map name I've not heard in quite some time, Nate. I can't believe that you are thinking of Entombed Valley.
Yeah. Well, my memory of that map is cursed as well, because I think that was before we had like the unbuildable plates, and it was just you built 2 bunkers at the bottom of the ramp, and Idra cried a lot. Good times. Memories in StarCraft.
You guys are still watching the deciders match of one of the groups in the second group stage. The majority of the second groups have finished up already, as we see another Dark Shadow opening over here. I can give you guys the rundown real quick. DNS won his group. Chem was finishing second in Group A. That makes obviously a lot of sense. We saw Australia win his group. Hellraiser in the end did take a second place in Group B, so both those lovely nerds advanced to Group Stage 3 as well. TLO actually won Group C over Elaser. That's a big one.
That's pretty sick, yeah.
And also Namchar and Disc. So that was a very tough group, I think. Well done, Dr. Dario. Don't forget, he had a great run in Kiev as well.
So now that TLO is Canadian, he has the home field advantage. I guess that's how it works.
Absolutely.
There you go.
He's on fire.
And he's suddenly playing like a madman. Shout out to him. And this series, I mean, a long map one. We talked about it. It was some good back and forth. Silky really did carve out a few opportunities for himself, though. He had a position where he had a good number of Mutalisks against a Protoss who refused to make a Stargate, and just, you know, in the chaos of all of it, ended up having the Mutas fight those Stalkers, and that's about the worst situation that you're going to get into when you have like your 20 Mutas fighting against those 22 Stalkers, and you can actually pick them off, because the value of them for the harass is so big. Also, the second prism that you talked about earlier, he had an opportunity to grab that. So a lot of promise showed by Silky in that game, and he's warping these very much so in your face.
Imagine like you go for that and you get the prism, and that's awesome and all, but then the queens are slightly off creep, and then 4 DTs just kill queens in like the blink of an eye. This is a lot of DPS, by the way. Silky waiting for his roaches. Nate. Okay, the DTs are taking a lot of damage. Wow, they're playing such a risky game. That's ridiculous. He lost 1 DT? Okay. Man, well done by Silky, because I was actually very worried there. But he said, no, he loses the queen in the end anyway. Okay, that was just dangerous on both sides. The adapts, the random adapts, that's actually really cool. This reminds me of like the triple oracle, where it's mostly about the oracles, and then the 2 random adapts show up. That's something that Zest and the Stats have done a lot. And this is kind of the same idea, but then with a Archon drop, or a DT opening rather. I really like it, because 2 adapts can do so much damage if the Zerg is not paying attention.
And of course, this turns into ye old Archon drop. The Zerglings are going to check that southern base.
Drop a Lord.
That's not where he's taking the third.
No, drop a Lord.
Ooh.
He's going to drop a couple of links in the main base. I mean, this is something that can be very annoying, especially if you just warped in units somewhere else. We'll see. Yes, okay, he is warping in, so this could be very bad, because if the gates are not ready to warp in anything at home, just 5 or 6 links can be very, very annoying. You don't need to do that much with this if you're Silky, but you would absolutely love to get like 4 or 5 probes at least.
Yeah, we do have a few Zealots that get warped in here, but if the Zerglings, like you said, are able to focus down those probes, and I think actually a little bit of hold position, actually, not bad. But a DT slips into the third while that Warp Prism is heading over to the main base, so both players are going to be trading economic blows as ShaDoWn gets inside of the main, get those Archons moving and grooving. Hydralisk Den is going to finish up, but they are nowhere near close to finishing. So what is it? Just a couple of these roaches to push back the Archons.
I really like how both these guys are playing, actually. Obviously, it's not flawless. I'm not going to say that this is the absolute best StarCraft we've ever seen. There are some mistakes here, but they're trying to make it so hard on each other. It's never just one thing you have to worry about. They're always throwing 2 or 3 problems at once at their opponent, and that makes for obviously a very scrappy game, but at the same time a very high-level game as well, because it is so damn difficult to A, execute your offense, and B, not just defend one location, but 2 or 3, and that was indeed very scary with all of those drones being clumped up. But yeah, I like a lot what I see out of both these guys, man.
Oh man, what a risky move that just was. That warp prism. I think I see a world where he goes for that extra shot, maybe gets 10 drone kills right there instantly, but loses the prism in both Archons. And I'm like, I think keeping it alive, there's a lot of value to that. He got the 3rd base secured, so didn't take a huge blow from the Ling drop. He's sitting at about 64, and this is really nice too, having the DT there denying the bases.
Absolutely. Hydra's trying to get in range of the prism. I felt instead they're going to settle for the Archon, but obviously not going to get that Archon with that prism still chilling there. I mean, ShaDoWn doing a really good job keeping Silky on 3 bases though. You don't want to be a 3-base Zerg 7 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, and he's also just kind of rushing into the lurkers this game, Nate.
I really like this. He's had that vision of a hallucinated Phoenix was still running around. It takes a long time to get those lurkers out though, Kev, and he's going to get the Templar Archives, move into Storm. And the only question I have now is when is he going to go for that 4th base? It's going to be, I think, a little bit of time before Silky can really put on any, like, serious pressure.
Yeah. If I was ShaDoWn, I would try to deny this 4th base. And I think if you move out with a couple of Immortals, a couple of Archons, and charge, I think he has the units. I think he has the army. I think he has the firepower to keep Silky a 3-base Zerg. And if that... Oh, quad kill? No, he's not going to get anything. Damn it, I was so excited.
That's a lot of Overlords, though. You have to be careful with those things. Just because they fly around and they're cool does not mean that you can afford to clump them all up when someone's Archon dropping you.
I really feel that ShaDoWn should try to punish this fort. I really think he has the opportunity. I think he has the army. I think he has the firepower.
Don't mind me just taking a stroll over to the natural.
Those are expensive little run-bys because ShaDoWn not super rich. 66 probes is nice, it's aight, but...
I want to see him find the other Overlords. Go for the finisher on a few of these bad boys.
He's got +1, right, on the Archons, yeah.
I mean, the first lurkers are... +1 Archon to kill an Overlord.
The first lurkers are on their way, and I wonder, why do you think Silky is going for lurkers on this map? Do you think there's something special about it, which he just really loves and he thinks it's perfect for lurkers, or... Because it's not really the standard to play like this anymore.
I'm not really sure, honestly. Man, he has had such a wrench thrown into everything, by the way, by this prism. Like, he's got all these spores now that he's moved around to cover the edge of his base. He has to leave these units behind. And with all the economic damage he's taken, it's made this so awkward.
I mean, he's got Storm now, but I really would have preferred a pre-Storm timing to deny the fort rather than to wait for Storm. But now you also have to run into lurkers, right? Like, I don't know how this works out. I mean, maybe if the lurker positioning isn't that good, or if this Protoss army is just mighty fine, maybe I'm underestimating the power of Storm. Wouldn't be the first time in my career, guys. But yeah, I feel like ShaDoWn could have done this a little bit better. And at the same time, Silky is counter-attacking, grabbing a couple of probes. Gotta be careful, though. Don't run up that ramp.
Yeah, good defense, though. I like the way he situated his base beforehand. So get the cannon, get the battery, quick Zealot Warping, not going to let those roaches do too much damage. And big thing to keep in mind here is you just don't want to lose those observers to the Hydras or the Spore while you make your way in.
It feels like there's very little of Silky here, actually, though. Like, why is there only 80 supply, Nate? He just threw away quite a few units. The lurkers are quite exposed. Only one observer remains. He really wants to get it ops, but he's not getting it yet. How many lurkers are left? Not that many. ShaDoWn definitely doing very, very good work so far. That observer. Why is that Spore not getting? No, what? He unrooted it?
Why did he? I would have liked to see the observer maybe try to siege up behind the army, but I guess it's still so risky that you want to make sure you can always move it.
If he gets high ground, that's pretty cool.
Why can't our powerful cannons blow up those 10 minerals? Curse you! Environmental regulations. Well, he's got a beautiful position here, and there's no creep as well, so he can do a little bit of dancing. It's all on the lurkers to somehow buy him the time that he needs, or at least get some sort of sick fight where ShaDoWn just somehow loses everything to the splash.
How is that observer still alive? Are you kidding me? Like, that's literally the only thing I'm looking at. It's 24 HP right now, but if it goes down, it's so big, but it's still alive. It's baiting out a couple of storms, though. Silky is actually very rich doing all of this. 83 drones at this point. He's trying to take the right bottom side of the map as well. You know, ShaDoWn's just kind of going back and forth, back and forth. He's going for a little Dark Templar run by. gets a queen and is going to be able to get quite a few drones here as well.
Wow, that's actually quite a bit of damage, as you were talking about. Now, that observer still alive. He's actually almost on to the lurkers, but finally kills it, and that signals the end of this attack. You really cannot do anything without the observer against those lurkers. I mean, of course, he has the Stargate now. Could try to get an Oracle, or just use this as a jumping point to go into more of the late-game Stargate tech, which, you know, it worked well last game.
You know, I feel like we had a couple of very long GSL days over the last 2 weeks. I've been watching it, been enjoying the shows. But I must say, today started to feel like a pretty long day as well, Nate. We had a long intro. We had a
very long intro.
Decently long first series of the day. The PvP went all 3 games. And now I'm looking at this, and I feel like this is going to go on for quite some time. And I can actually see Silky win this game as well. Ay, 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 Nate.
It's getting hectic over here at the World Championship Series. He's going to get the Oracle, but also starts another Stargate and a Fleet Bacon. So presumably we are going to have some Broodlords. They are starting now. So he's going to need to get some carriers, some Tempest, something that can deal with those bad boys.
It's really amazing how fast ShaDoWn suddenly maxes out. Funny thing, okay, he only has 1 observer, but he does have that 1 Oracle, so he can attack the army. There is only a couple of lurkers, but we are getting Broodlords. And I look at his army, and that's not an army that's very good against Broodlords, Nate.
No, I mean, Immortals are cool, and they blow stuff up in an awesome way, and they're quite tanky. But unfortunately, they're unable to lean back. It is not built into their suits of armor, and Immortals, well, they die to Broodlords.
If I was ShaDoWn right now, I'd be like, okay.
How many Immortals is that? Can I just get a count real quick? 15. 15 Immortals.
That's probably...
What kind of sick monster would build 15 Immortals?
I mean, if you think you're playing as a guy that's going to be annoying with roaches and make a lot of lurkers, you could be like, that's really cool. But then suddenly he's like, hey, wait a minute. We made an agreement, okay? You know, once upon a time, I was playing RTS games with my brother when I was a little kid. And I was like, RTS is really cool, but let's make one agreement, okay? Don't kill each other's harvesters, because that's not fun. So that's how I always played. I thought it was really good. And I play online, and everybody killed my harvesters immediately. I'm like, hey! You know?
No priests, guys. No mind control, yeah. All right? Can we just say that? No wololo, please.
This is not cool at all.
And then the next thing you know, that's what's waiting for you behind the wall. Easy.
That's kind of what happened to ShaDoWn right here. He's like, hey, no Broodlords, okay? Silky's like, fine. He's like, hey!
I mean, when the Immortals get to fight the ground army, they certainly blow it to smithereens, but then the Broodlords show up, and you're like, oh my god, well...
ShaDoWn actually needs to lose a couple of units here, and I like what he's doing. He's splitting up the army. Wow. He's going to get a lot here. No, isn't he? With 4 Immortals and a couple of Zealots, definitely should get at least the base. Would love to get the Greatest Spy, but I don't think that's going to happen, because this feels like the right amount of Hydras to deal with it, especially with a couple of Broodlings. And don't forget that ShaDoWn is getting Tempest on the other side of the map, and that's what you want to get.
Do you think that 100%?
What?
I'm just curious about, because the carriers worked really well last game. Is the build time still too much of an issue in this situation?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I think like you want to get a couple of safety Tempests, but I wouldn't want to make too many Tempests, and I'm absolutely down for carriers here, don't get me wrong.
Tempests make me feel scared when I think of Vipers or stuff. Like, they're good against the Broodlords, don't get me wrong, but if the Hydras can get under them, I feel like the carriers perform a lot better in that situation.
Oh, absolutely, but I think it's just like, let's get a couple of Tempests so we can at least make sure we don't die to the Broodlords.
That's fair. Tempests are also way cheaper, guys, so...
And build way faster.
Yeah.
So, but I would definitely not make more than 5 or 6 Tempests. Like, after that, I would start making carriers for sure.
Some Zerglings are going to go to the top side. There are 2 cannons and a battery. That's not going to be enough to defend this, but it will give him some time to hopefully get more than 1 Zealot. Well, when you're maxed out, I guess there's not a whole lot you can do.
And the thing about Tempests as well is that Tempests are absolutely terrible against Corruptors, and they're also really terrible against Infested Terrans. So you don't want to be stuck on too many Tempests. Tempests are the best unit in the game when it comes to almost having a fight, but not truly having a fight. And when the fight actually happens, it's like, well, we can't run because we're slow, but we also can't fight because we attack slow. So it's a very awkward unit to have too many of.
Yeah, they're kind of more... The Tempest fits the role of the... It's the precise surgical unit, right? You're picking off units. You're making those quick incisions into the Broodlords, picking them out of the army, but you're trying not to fight the whole meat of it. Uh-oh, 2 Oracles run into some Hydralisks. That is, well, that's a terrible story. There's no punchline to that one, Kev.
I thought that would be a joke there, Nate.
There's nothing funny about Oracles dying. Big warp in on the top side from this Prism, and the Hydras maybe can get up on top of that. It is going to be able to get away just the last second. I mean, Hydras with no support, Zealots are going to be able to trade out against a few of them. And the Tempests just walk up and smack down one of those Broodlords.
And this is kind of awkward though. Like I really wouldn't like to be here without any Archons.
Right?
Yeah, because the Corruptors can clump up. And sure, Storm is gonna hurt, but okay, you lost the Broodlords, but you will pay with a Tempest instead. That's what Silky says. I mean, both of them just have everything. Now we do have our first carries on the way, by the way. If I was ShaDoWn, I'd just be chrono boosting my air upgrades right now, and I know that sounds kind of boring, guys, but I really feel that's kind of the play here. Like, you want to get carriers, because carriers are still the sickest unit in this matchup, if you ask me.
Yep.
But if there is one unit that truly benefits of upgrades, people don't really think about that, right? But upgrades are so damn important for carriers, because basically if you get +1, you get +8, because you get all those interceptors, they attack over and over again. So people don't think about it, but it is just as important as like a Marine with stim that attacks very quickly.
Yes.
That's basically what an upgrade for the carrier is as well. And we often talk about how important upgrades are for Marines. Well, the same goes for carriers.
Yep, and for that reason as well, it's very important that Silky, he's on actually double Spire, so his upgrades getting way better. Fear these units get picked off, grabs the mothership, and unfortunately, there is nobody here to help her, so
I wonder if he could have saved that. I felt like it took a little while before those Corruptors took it down, but ShaDoWn is just going to rebuild it immediately. It's really funny. The mothership has a funny role in these kind of games. The pros, most of them like it. Some of them don't, actually. They say, like, I like it with, like, Archon Immortal against, like, Lurkers and Ground, but I don't really like it in these kind of games anymore. Certain pros do like it. They keep rebuilding it. I'm in the camp of, like, I really don't like it, but that's just an opinion. Absolutely not a fact. So, you know, some people, you know, it's one or the other, Nate.
Well, the mothership does cost 400 minerals, 400 gas, and take 8 supply. So it's an investment if ever there was one. The single most expensive unit.
I feel it's not worth it. I'd rather have, like, an extra carrier. And I feel like it's always the first unit that gets abducted. And I just really see it really have a big impact in the fight. But it's personal preference.
Have you ever tried using the time warp on like a spore field to engage into it with carriers? It does work against them. I don't know. That's all. That's about all I can think of, Kev.
No, Nate.
That's my Terran. That's my Terran thought process.
I have not dropped a time warp on spore crawlers. I'm sorry.
It would slow down their attack speed. They did patch that. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's one of these. It's something, but it's so much supply, you know.
I mostly like the mothership for the second recall, basically, right?
Yeah,
especially now with the change that the Nexus recall is on a 130-second cooldown,
and it's very tiny.
Yeah.
So it's harder to nail that recall, Nate.
Yes, it is. These immortals.
He's only getting a Graviton Catapult now, by the way. That's a little tiny mistake. You probably wanted to get that a little bit faster, but no big battles happen, so it's not a very big deal.
Yeah. Anion Pulse Crystals. Maybe we'll see some Phoenix at some point.
Oh, yes. Actually, sorry. I misread that. I can't believe that. Sorry. So he already has Graviton Catapult, and now he's just getting the Phoenix upgrade. Anion Pulse Crystals. Even though he doesn't have a single Phoenix. You know what I think? I think ShaDoWn really likes, like, numbers, and I think he likes to look at his technology score at the end of the game, and he's like, I want to get the bigger crap.
I want to get all of the upgrades. Sometimes it helps. I don't know. I see so many Terran players talk about, like, servos and drilling claws, and then I watch Thermal's game earlier. I'm like, well, he actually got them, and they worked really well.
Yeah, but those are good upgrades.
Sometimes they fit.
On. Those are good upgrades.
A lot of people don't get them. I don't know.
I think they're good upgrades. That makes total sense.
I love all upgrades, so I'm the worst person you could have this conversation with.
I mean, I like a lot of upgrades too as well, but like, I would not necessarily get Blink if I don't ever plan on making Stalkers.
Kevin, at 20 minutes in, Observer speed is the most important thing you could possibly get.
But that's actually a good upgrade though. Like, Observers are very important because you want to keep vision of the infestors, right? And often you'll lose the observers in the front, so then when you like bring an extra observer to the battle, you want it to be fast.
But if you accidentally F2 a move, that observer's going to kill itself faster.
Yeah, but like it's more about like backup observers showing up quicker to the fight.
Okay.
No, this is actually an upgrade that I would always get. Like all memes aside, I think that is a very good upgrade.
I've heard that as an argument to not get it before. So
no, but like you can do it. You can put it in like the anti-F2 mode above behind your army, and if you then lose all the observers, then you just like uninstall it from the anti-F2 mode, and then you bring it to the battle very quickly with F2.
The anti-F2 mode.
As you guys can see, I'm a professional gamer.
Protoss players being honest, ladies and gentlemen, here at the World Championship.
No, it's a really good upgrade. Like War Prism speed and Observer speed, if you're this rich, I would always get it in every single game. This hatch is misplaced, isn't it?
Yeah.
It feels so
well, you know what's really weird is because of people's hatch. Yeah, this is because Zerg players complain about the hatch, the larva blocking the hatch.
That's cool.
But now you can literally put larva inside the hatch. By the way, another mothership blows up, and
I want to start a new trend, guys. Like if we see a mothership get abducted, and it just dies without achieving anything. Can we all in chat spam like -400, -400? That would make me really happy.
-400/400, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Just like, I want to see that over and over again. It would make me very happy.
Yeah. Yep. The idea of like that alien crab monster flying thing, like shooting its tongue out and pulling over like the biggest behemoth that your race is capable of producing like that it's so powerful you can only get one of it. It's just like, yoink. I'm like, I don't know. It's immersion breaking for me, Kev.
I love how we are 22 minutes into the world of sleepers, and Silky is sitting on 4,300 minerals, 3,500 gas, and he's like, you know what would be a good upgrade? Neuroparasite. We'll be like, oh yeah, it would be.
Yeah, that's not a bad one.
That would have been very good 9 minutes ago as well, mate.
You know what else I like though? ShaDoWn.
Blink DTs.
That's a fun one.
Yep, absolutely it is.
That's a fun one. You can put that with the army too. You ever blink DTs onto infestors?
Not that often, but definitely on Hydras.
Oh yeah.
They're very good, especially with +3, man. It just feels like the impact damage is so big that armies just disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blink DT is really cool. It's still a bit underrated, but we're starting to see it more and more, especially in the games where Protoss is rich, and obviously this game qualifies as Protoss being rich. Yeah, it's absolutely an upgrade that's worth getting as well.
Yeah, I like it. So now the question remains, what are we missing? Just Colossus range, right? Is that it?
Thermal lens? Yeah, he doesn't have thermal lens yet.
That might be the only... How many more Protoss upgrades are there, really?
I mean, you can get +2 plasma shields, +3 plasma shields.
Yeah, he can get actual upgrades. Yeah, that's true.
Well,
there's the
end up losing a Tempest.
Yeah. I have not been a fan of the Tempest since they had like the Ferrari speed, honestly. I really like carriers, especially after the Infestor nerf. Ooh, gotta be careful. Okay, 1 2-eye Templar actually get picked off there by those Broodlings.
I think technically having like 4 or 5 Tempest, if you strive for optimal gameplay, I think it is better than to only have carriers. But I think it's so hard to really make it pay for itself. Now this is becoming expensive, actually. I'm starting to get a little bit worried here for ShaDoWn. This could become a very bad fight. This is when your Disruptors get bungled, a couple of Broodlings. Look at that, High Templars going down, Disruptors going down. I think Silky's feeling this, Nate.
Oh, the Tempests are getting a few of the hits onto the Broodlords, though. Cleaned up a good few of them during that engagement. The carrier trade out feels really weird, right? Because they're both players still have a lot of money. Silky has dropped down to 33 drones, I also just noticed. So he's been like, he's going for just a maximum crazy army supply build.
Yeah, he's going to get a big army. He's also firing up 13 more drones during all of this. I guess that's DTs just being annoying. And those Adepts, man. The Adepts with Resonating Claves. Yeah. They have really been bringing all the pain. Now, that Ultra is actually doing a very good job. You guys wonder why on earth is he getting Ultras? Ultras are just there to soak up damage. It takes a long time for carriers to kill Ultralists. So the idea is that infested Terrans and Hydras then pick off all the interceptors. But yeah, if you send those Ultras forward, it is important you really try to get all of those interceptors.
Out of curiosity, can we see what the units lost? So he's lost 75 interceptors. Okay, I'm just trying to gauge what we're like looking at in terms of the trades in these fights, but. The Broodlords that were picked off is pretty nice. Got a few of the Vipers. Hasn't killed many Infestors. I don't think there are a crazy number of Infestors out yet, though. Not that I've been able to see. Yeah, there's still only just 3 of them. Just leaning a little bit more on the general army. And those Ultras, I guess the downside of them is they do take up a lot of that supply.
Yeah, I think having 1 or 2 is nice, but I
12
do think...
Infestors, there we go. That's what I was waiting for.
I do think if you send them forward, you got to commit. And that's where you got to throw down all those infested Terrans. And that's when you really... Because they do a pretty decent job in soaking up a lot of damage for 5-6 seconds. But yeah, you have to capitalize on it. Otherwise, it's a pointless sacrifice. So we do see the links going forward. Finally, Silky is going to return the favor. And he will get a little bit of economic damage done as well.
Yep, and when you are maxed out in this situation, all you can really do is bring the army back. But instead he says, you know what, you can take that. I'm going to go to the top side, work on your other bases because I don't want to engage into the field of spore crawlers with the rest of your Broodlords and Infestors and Corruptors. I'm just going to go to the top, pick this base off, and I don't think he's used his recall in a little bit, so if he needs to pull back, he should be able to.
Is this the definition of an eye for an eye?
Well,
you take my south side base, I'll take your north side base.
Is this the part where we get into like the nitty gritty where like the Nexus is 400 minerals, the hatchery is 300,
no.
then some Zerg tweets us that it costs a drone as well. And,
and actually,
technically 350 minerals plus an infinite amount of minerals the drone could have mined in its lifetime instead of being built into a building.
And don't forget that ShaDoWn has 5 workers more right now than Silky, so technically he could have gotten more value out of his base. And Silky
the individual worker was worth more that was put into it because he had less.
Yeah, let's not.
We can break it down. We can really break it down.
And then in the end, we've seen 2 neuroparasites win the game. We're like, all right, well,
nice.
Are we gonna get another abduct? Minus 400, minus 400.
Save our ship. No.
All right, Twitch chat, make me proud.
Another one.
Another one bites the dust. What a series.
He's trying to get all those changelings.
Once again, guys, this is the decidest match of just one of the groups in the second group stage. Now, obviously, making it into group stage 3 is very good. For the loser, it does not end here. In the old days, it would have, but now we have that beautiful knockout bracket that actually must be going on for quite some time now. So you know what, Nate? I'm just going to take a little look.
Give me the results, Kev. Talk to me.
M. Canning got his revenge on Holy Hit. Holy Hit won in the group stage, but M. Canning won in the knockout bracket.
Nice.
So that's good news. Turkey Dano is going up versus Vindicta. That's going to be fun. Disc actually eliminated Raze of the tournament. So Raze is out, Disc moving on, but Disc is now down 0-1 versus Skillis.
Okay, okay. We get a carrier abducted over here. Goodbye, carrier. And of course, these positions are always awkward. This is about the worst spot that you could try to get in through with that. Now, the weakened prism is going to be up front so that it dies faster, as the second prism behind it will try to get a big warp-in inside the main. Unfortunately, the 2 IQ play is you bring a prism and you only have 2 available supplies. So I'm not entirely sure what that's going to do, ladies and gentlemen. But does one charge Zealot 1v1 a Hydra here? Is that the play? I don't know.
This is when you lose one of the prisms, so you have 4 free supplies.
Oh my God!
That's how this works, Nate. It's okay,
I like it.
Those were some very big storms, by the way. All memes aside. But are there slow banelings? How do we have slow banelings with all the money in the world, literally every single upgrade other than bailing speed? All right.
I'm disappointed.
That's so funny. I feel like that's kind of an important one.
I agree.
I think Silky is a little bit afraid because he just ate some massive storms to the face. That is a recall that's going to save at least a couple of these units.
The Zerglings are coming up here, but the cannons and the batteries are going to try and lock that down, solidify it. That base, by the way...
I love these adepts, man. These adepts actually are very cool. The first time we saw Resident Glaive, we're like, well, I guess he just likes getting like all the upgrades, but the harass that these adepts provide, it's actually super cool. Normally we just spam Zealots like a baboon and we hope they do well, but he's actually putting in some work. Nate, those are some very big parasitic bombs. The disruptors don't really get the hits that they're looking for. Look at the damage. Parasitic bomb is dealing to all of those carriers there, and a lot of interceptors went down as well.
Yep, 11 being built at a time now, of course. Prepping up for the next fight gets a little bit easier since the patch as well with the build time change that they had, but...
Why does ShaDoWn have no gas, Nate?
He just keeps building disruptors and carriers. I don't know. That's interesting. Is he not mining the gas on the top, or he's just spending it that fast?
What about the rich gases? Can we take a look at the rich gases?
You know, I almost feel like there's this unit that costs a ton of gas that he just keeps building over and over again. That really isn't doing a whole lot for him, Kevin.
Does it cost 400 gas by any chance?
I think it might be 400 gas. Did you know that that's the most expensive unit, gas-wise, you can build in StarCraft 2? You can only build one of them at a time, of course.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, but once again, that's personal preference.
Well, I mean, at this point, I'm just saying it's affecting the game. At this point, he's getting down to just being able to build Zealots. That's not a fun place to be when your opponent has Broodlords.
And I just really feel like there hasn't been a single moment where it had a big impact on a battle.
No.
Oh my God, now we're getting Burrow as well. What is up, Silky? Why do you delay like the most important
He's finally getting +1 armor. He's finally getting +1 armor, man.
That's so sick. Look at
2019 is a crazy year.
By the way, isn't it oddly satisfying if you take a look at Silky's upgrade tab on the bottom side of the screen?
It looks really nice.
The
whole thing is just full of red upgrades.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Actually, that looks very nice.
I mean, ShaDoWn's doesn't look bad, but he's like missing one. And now when +1 finishes, it's going to look like the poor man's upgrade tab. He's missing one of them. One of them isn't that shiny blue.
Do you think he noticed that he doesn't have baning speed, or he just doesn't care?
Maybe he doesn't want his banelings to overextend on accident. Sure. No, I don't think he noticed. So we have some probes being sacrificed.
The Fist of ShaDoWn. Well, we need to sacrifice 46 more workers, and then we can call it that. Recall being used. Look at those paints. They're so cute. So slow. And now the entire army of Silky is actually moving towards the top side of the map. Is there something that he can find? Like, what is the most valuable base right now for ShaDoWn? Is it 12?
It's got to be the top one, right?
Yeah. And I guess for Silky, it's 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought there were a decent amount of resources at the top bases for Silky, though. Like ShaDoWn could try to fight for them. I don't know.
This is awkward. I feel like this is kind of awkward.
Nah, there's not too much there.
Oh,
okay, there's the Neural.
What is that?
On the mothership, time warps, and
he's gonna bring it forward.
Does he have detection? He's like, where's the infestor?
Nate, what's the price of that? Minus
400,
400, baby. That's number 4. Oh my goodness, can you do the math, Nate? That is 3,200 resources down the drain.
I have been an apprentice in crunching numbers, but even with my lack of talent at that, I can tell you that's a lot of gas.
Imagine if ShaDoWn had 1,600 gas more than he currently does. I'd feel better about it.
To be fair, I feel like he would just build like one more carrier right in this situation.
Yeah, but they would have probably done better, because then maybe one time he would have actually been like, you know what, I should take the fight. Because I feel like eventually, like taking the fight is not that bad. Like this is a scary...
I don't think it's that bad to try and go, like get the carriers to engage.
I know, this is a good Zerg army, but it's also a very good Protoss army. There's absolutely like no reason to believe that you're always going to lose these fights. If you land a Storm or 2, if you land 1 or 2 Purification Novas, just fight, man. You've got so many carriers. Don't be too afraid. You've got a powerful army, my friend. And stop building motherships.
Yeah. He's got he's over 6,000 minerals. He's got, how many carriers is he at now? He had 16? Okay, 15. It's the same number as last game. The Tempest, okay, in this situation, Kev, I like the Tempest. Like, just having a few to just at least remind the Zerg that you still have a heartbeat is definitely nice.
I don't know. I mean, like, obviously these Tempests can fly forward, but I really think it comes down to how good are your hotkeys. I know this is very weird, because we all think that pro gamers have, like, the perfect hotkey setup for every situation. That's not true, okay? A lot of these nerds are just human beings, and they kind of just put everything on, like, 1 or 2 hotkeys as well. I think, ideally, in a perfect world, ShaDoWn has a separate hotkey for those Tempests. They fly around all the time. They get non-stop shots off. They pick off Infestors. They pick off Vipers. But it's very clear with how little activity he's shown with the Tempest that that's not the case right now. So then I actually don't like the Tempest. Just get rid of them and get more carriers. Like, I really think he can win the fight, man. Like, why wouldn't he not be able to win the fight with 15 carriers with +3?
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, Kev. I feel like if you could just try to force a fight that's not on top of 10 spores, like that's kind of the dream here. Like, the army can do it.
I think as long as he doesn't lose all the interceptors to infested Terrans or parasitic bomb, he's going to be more than fine. Here we go. Well, can we get a storm? No, he doesn't get a single storm off.
All the High Templar die immediately. There's the neural parasites onto the carriers as they start to run out of shields with infested Terrans. This may have been about as bad of a position as he could have taken the fight. The disruptors are not able to make the connections, and the carriers are all going to be pulled back into the infested Terran.
Okay, that was a bad fight. I didn't see a single storm.
Could have possibly gone.
Not a single storm. Not a single Purification Nova connected with either the infested Terrans.
It looked like he moved commanded his army up back towards the base, looked away for a second, and then just got trounced.
He had units on the north and he had units on the south, but then his spellcasters were so far away they were never in range.
Not again.
Not yet.
GG. Silky ties the series up. Oh boy.
It's been a long run, Nate, and we're going to get one more game to determine who of these two lovely gentlemen is going to advance to the next group stage. But since these games have been very long, I do believe we're going to head over to a very quick break. And after that, we'll be back with a deciders match between Silky and ShaDoWn.
gentlemen, to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. We are live here from Montreal in beautiful Quebec, Canada. I'm Nathanius, joined by Rotterdam, as we take you through into the night with quite a long Protoss versus Zerg series.
Yeah, it's really good to see. I think over the last few weeks, we've seen just more and more long games, and I'm happy about that, because sometimes we see a new map pool, we see a new patch, and everyone's like, cool, let's try to win every game in 6 minutes. And yeah, that can be fun once in a while, and I don't need every game to be 35 minutes, but I do like to see longer games in general, because I feel more often than not, the better player does win. You both have opportunity, you both have your own moments, you both basically have a lot of freedom to do whatever you want to do. And I actually see that the final map here is Winter's Gate, and that does really excite me as well. Let's go ahead and introduce these nerds. In case you guys forgot, on the left top side, we're looking at the main base of ShaDoWn.
And his opponent, our Red Zerg, in the bottom right, he is Silky.
All right, Nathan, I gotta ask you, how do you like this map? Because this is the one map where I feel like...
Oh, man, this map rustles my jimmies, Rotterdam.
Why?
This map rustles my jimmies. There is something about the openness of the third, even with a little... The weird thing is, I had a moment where I tried to build a wall in that slow zone.
Yes.
Because I'm like, well, naturally, I would want to wall this off if I'm going to play mech, you know, do anything defensive.
Yes.
But then you realize that when you try to build stuff in the slow zone, it builds slower too, Kevin. And then I had all these weird random games where I would get wrecked by that.
Forge.
Oh my God, is it happening?
Sorry guys, I wasn't paying attention at all, but I'm very excited.
Is it happening?
I talked to you guys about this a long time ago, but Silky seems to be on the money. He immediately knows what is up. This is gonna be fun, but the thing is though, these guys are so good at these like random ass cannon rushes. There's like pylon here, pylon there, and then suddenly...
Oh, I thought he was just trying to block Reaper Swarm.
All right, the second probe shows up. It's gonna...
Ooh.
It's right to drop a cannon. You're gonna be careful. Whoa, that's a lot of damage on that probe. The probe somehow lives. Can you believe that?
Well, I think 3 drones is the magic number, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he needs to get another one going. There we go.
Oh my
One
goodness,
of those.
they're so good. They're disgusting. They're so good at this. And now he's got shields and he's gonna cancel it. And the pylon on the high ground is actually still alive. I think it's very important that he takes care of this. But 8 links are already on the way. Wait. Okay, this is
it
weird,
just going to be one cannon on the low ground with no vision up?
Yeah, but he's going to get vision up eventually, and he's going to get a robo, and this is going to go on forever. It's very important he saves his first cannon, but he will. Wait, can you fight this? No, you can't. So he's going to send him to the main base. Does ShaDoWn have a full wall out? Does he have a cannon at home? Whoa, this is risky, mate. That's like a lot of links that are out.
Yeah, no, that's dangerous. He's going to force another cancel there.
But can't the queens from the high ground gun down this?
That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's going to take a little while, right? Before he can actually get
a war prism, I guess?
Because like a war prism would give vision, sure. But
do you open prism? No, you always open immortal.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, yeah, the queens are going to come over here. And
can he get the pylon? Do the queens have enough range?
Was the plan to use that adept that he made to try and use the shade for vision? Like,
yes, that is a very good possibility, Nathan. Hey, do you think... Okay, there's a shield battery now.
I don't know how I feel. I was going to say, do you think they can reach that pylon?
I think they can. At least one of them should be able to reach. I mean, queens have pretty good range, don't they?
And queens are known for their range, usually against air, but yes. I guess the cannons. Getting rid of the cannon first is also fine, too.
Man, can you believe that we just saw 2 30-plus minute games and now it all comes down to this? Cannons, batteries, and an immortal. But you know what? I think most people at the stream are okay with it. Because we've seen these guys play late game. Now let's see how well Silky does against the build that ShaDoWn has truly embraced. The build that he always seems to fall back onto if things get a little bit dicey.
That photon cannon took about 10,000 damage so far.
I mean, the battery
got so close to dying, too. It's at 3 health.
All right, first Ravager on the way. Silky's on 24 drones, and obviously he's got a 2-base economy. That's nice to activate the barrier that quickly. Hey, this is actually going to be bad, right? Because the Immortals, they are not going to be... not going to be able to heal up the Immortals. And now let's see if these Queens are actually going to get in range of at least the battery.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably the other best part about the way that this build opened up with. Like, getting rid of all the energy on the battery should have made it a lot easier for the Immortals to be pushed back.
Yep, that's minus a battery. Whoa, that War Prism is taking some damage as well. I think ShaDoWn is not used to microing his units when he thinks he's above batteries because he thinks it's always going to be okay. But those batteries are actually kind of drained.
You always hope the battery's going to be there for you, Kev, but sometimes it's just not.
I think that Silky's actually doing a pretty good job.
Well, first queen does die. I mean, if there's no dedicated anti-air, the Prism becomes a whole lot more difficult to deal with. And then he can just juggle against the Ravagers forever.
It's important that Silky does get some kills here and there as well. Now, getting an Immortal is very, very difficult, but if he gets pylons, if he gets batteries, if he gets cannons, that is something, right?
I feel like any cheesy Protoss should be a god at doing this unless you lose the Prism! Okay.
That would have been so sick. But at least pushing back the pylons is nice.
Just like without queens, I feel like he should be able to just micro his way through it. But so far, Silky, I mean, he's not dead.
Don't forget, a lot of these batteries are very low on energy. I mean, getting the Immortals does seem hard. I don't like Silky being there. That's a little bit too far forward. Where are the extra queens? Did he just lose all the queens?
Yeah. Yeah, he lost all of them. He's got 2 building right now. They're about to pop.
Oh, man. 3 Immortals are so good. ShaDoWn is really starting to put in some work with these Immortals. And even though, I mean, I kind of like Silky's defense, I just don't think it's going to be enough, Nate. I felt like he played well, but ShaDoWn is good with this build, man.
It's very, very strong. And like we're saying, if the queens aren't alive to push the Warp Prism back, then he can just juggle on top of the Ravagers all he wants. And that makes this easy peasy for the Protoss. There you go. The queens are dead once again, and 2 more are going to be done soon-ish. But the Ravagers are all done, and GG is called. ShaDoWn, after a very long series, is able to use that slice of sharp yellow cheddar to cut his way to a Game 3 victory, defeating the American Zerg player.
I feel dirty after watching it. I wonder how it would feel after executing a build like that. It really felt that Silky kind of expected it. He knew it, he scouted for it, he saw it as quickly as he could. I liked a lot of the moves that Silky made, but in the end, it just wasn't enough. He wasn't able to get anything on the other side of the map. He couldn't keep the queens alive. Well done by ShaDoWn. Fun series, Nate.
Yeah, let's hear from the winner himself up on the stage. We got ShaDoWn with Cloakin.
Thanks so much, Nate. That's right, I'm here with ShaDoWn. ShaDoWn, congratulations on that incredible set there. I got to talk to you about those first 2 matchups, first 2 games, actually. We know last year and throughout your play, you've been known for this more aggressive cannon rushing style that we saw in your 3rd game. Talk to us about your decision to play more macro, slow in those first 2.
I don't think on the map we played, the cannon rush is really good. And I wanted to try a late game and play normal game. So before the series, I didn't plan to make a cannon rush on the last map, but I was so stressed and didn't want to play another 30-minute game, so I tried it.
Fair enough, totally understand. Now, last year you made it all the way to the round of 16 here in Montreal. What are your goals for this year, and what will you feel happy and successful with coming out of this tournament?
I feel like I can do some good results if I don't face Zergs. Maybe I really would like top 8 for one time. We'll see.
Well, congratulations. You advance into the 3rd group. Well done, my friend. Let's give a round of applause here for ShaDoWn. We're back to the desk with you, Kalaris.
That's right. Thank you very much. Welcome back to day number 2 here at WCS. Wait a minute, we've only just finished the 2nd group stage. Oh my God, ShaDoWn. He gets himself the victory here after a very, very hard-fought series and complete polar opposites of games, to be perfectly honest, Pig. I think he'd had enough of Zerg that just wouldn't go down. It was like fighting a bedbug infestation in that map 1 and map 2. He just could not get Silky off the map. It was insane. It was like he'd often have an army lead and he'd be like about to break him and you're like, no, another 8 Broodlords just finished morphing. Good luck breaking through that. So I definitely think ShaDoWn maybe missed a few opportunities to push the aggressive advantage, maybe get some Zealot Warp-ins in the main, but in the end, a beautiful way to finish the series in Game 3. You've got to have those builds to get those easy wins.
Yeah, I was actually really glad that we had, asked the question as, why the macro and then the cheese kind of thing, and it's like, yeah, I was just really tired. I didn't want to do that again, and I was like, actually, people might have thanked you for that.
Yeah, maybe. But ShaDoWn goes through. Actually, that's an all French lineup in that group, actually going through into the next group stage with Clem and ShaDoWn getting themselves the spots there. So great for them. ShaDoWn being able to advance as well. And let's take a look at the overall groups here from our group stage 2 to check in with the results so far. And speaking of strong Frenchmen, strong, manly, sexy Frenchmen, we have DNS being being able to take that top spot over in Group A. Cham in second place there with the 2-1. Talk to me about some more results, Pete. Go on.
Australia, the man whose name sounds like I'm saying the country I'm from, Australia. Love to see him there coming out first in that one. Hellraiser, of course, coming out second. Unfortunately, the person who's actually from my country, Probe, coming out third. So sad to see Probe knocked down to the knockout bracket.
A little surprising to see TLO top his group of really strong European Zergs. I mean, he's also a strong European-Canadian Zerg, but to beat a Laser and Namshar, that's really impressive. Just give a nod to that.
I believe Jernadian is the correct term.
Jernadian?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a mouthful.
I mean, sure. We'll go with that one.
We have ShaDoWn here and sort of being able to take themselves their next spot in the group stages. Do remember as well, guys, that everybody finishing in 3rd and 4th place are actually going down to that knockout bracket and are not done just yet. So names like Skillis, a name that has gone far in WCS in the past couple of stops, is also still alive in the tournament as a whole. Let's take a look at our next groups as well, as we have Mr. Gerald and Mana being able to take the spots. Gerald actually taking the top spot there in that group. That's impressive.
Yeah, I've talked about it previously, but like there's this whole like line of like not quite on the tip of your tongue Protoss players in Europe, and he's kind of like leading the charge sometimes, and sometimes it's like, you know, other Protosses, but really cool to see him actually top his group.
Didn't actually face off against Mana, but Mana, of course, coming back with revenge match against Zanster to come back, because Zanster won the initial match there. So they had a bit of back and forth, both series quite close, 2-1 scorelines.
And then we have the Frenchman, Clem, and ShaDoWn being able to advance on forwards. Unfortunately for Silky, there does fall in that match just before. I was trying to think of what I was going to call it, because it was a match, but it was,
it was a long one, man.
That was interesting to say the least. And then we move on. Euthermal and Stefano are able to move through here. Jon Snow and Denver do fall down into that knockout bracket.
It's actually kind of interesting, though, not because, you know, we don't have a lot of strong players there and anyone could have made it out type thing, but because Stefano has historically just been cursed with, like, bad PvZs, to be honest. Like, he'd be even the first one to say it. And he actually wins a mostly, well, he gets second place in a mostly Zerg group, especially, you know, Denver actually not doing too well. That was also a big shock for this tournament. So, see what he does in the knockout bracket.
Yeah, for sure. And we have one more group to take a look over at here, as Lambo and Harsum did get themselves the group spots there, moving into that round of 32 group stage. And then Puck and Ziggy will fall down to that knockout bracket.
No surprises, I think, with the top two, but I was very curious to see with Puck and Ziggy who would come out on top. So it was a 2-0 win in their head-to-head, of course, which puts Puck in the 3rd place spot. Ziggy last in the group, unfortunately, so we don't get to see the Ziggy show that we are such big fans of. The 7 racks, 13 racks Mass Reaper, the many battle cruiser builds. He's got a lot of cool special ones, so unfortunately won't be seeing those.
A lot of crazy stuff going down in the knockout bracket as well. We're not going to fully show you that, guys, but you can check out all of what is going on over on Wikipedia, especially to be able to find out all of those results that are happening. M. Canning doing well down there. He's still alive. 1-1 against Probe.
Yeah, they've had some interesting games. I was in one of their games, but yeah, that was you know, M. Canning doing his disruptor thing. Probe barely holding on. You know, the whole like, do I play against M. Canning or do I play PvP? Got to be a big question for them.
Yeah.
And then actually right below that, Bly's already knocked out. That was maybe like I think the first like big surprise knockout for me personally. And fortunately, he's definitely a little sad about that. You know, it's like, oh, his worst WCS run ever, and it's like, oh man, everyone loves Bly, but not his tournament.
Not his tournament. And of course, other things that are going on in the StarCraft world as well. We do have the WCS war chest that is currently available to everybody over in the client. You can look at those. They're so cool. I love all the Zerg ones. I always love the Zerg skins. They're the coolest. I don't know if you agree. What do you think?
I mean, the Protoss ones have a cool lore, right?
I do like the fact that, yeah, you've got like, they're kind of like Golem Protoss, right? They're all like stone and...
I guess.
Not like Golem from Lord of the Rings, but like a stone golem kind of thing.
Just imagine like a stalker that actually like runs towards you, like the It Girl or something. I'm like, oh, that is kind of terrifying. Yeah,
it's like legs are kind of going over its head and stuff. Oh my god.
What just happened? All right, well, you know, that's a thing as well. But yeah, do make sure to check out the war chest, because again, all contributions to that also aid StarCraft 2 esports down the line here for 2019, 2020, etc., etc. We are going to go to a short break, ladies and gentlemen, here as we have our next group stage up and coming right after this. So join us in just a little bit for more WCS Fall.